Welcome to HB Reddit Stories. Today we will see stories of r/am I the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for laughing at the name my sister chose for her baby? For context, I, 28F, attended a family dinner with my mom, dad, and sister, 26F, yesterday. My sister is due to give birth soon and decided this dinner would be the perfect time to announce the name she chose for her first child. My sister has always been obsessed with aesthetics. Her whole house is beige and rather depressing if I'm honest. The whole nursery she built for baby is beige and gray and will not accept colorful gifts for the baby. I can tell her husband hates it, but he won't admit it. Now here is the issue: I am very prone to laughing at inappropriate times. I am autistic and find it hard to filter what I say and my emotions, which can lead to me reacting to things in ways that can offend people. I didn't think this would cause issues, until she revealed the name of her baby. So, we are all done with our dinner. We are looking at my sister as announces her baby will be named Brooklyn Willow Rose, insert surname, not including it for privacy. Spelt exactly like that. And then I burst out laughing, and said, "You cannot be serious. I am now banned from all family dinners. Is the name really that bad? Was I really a massive a-hole?" Update: after writing this post I decided to call my sister and apologize, as when I wrote down what happened I did realize what an idiot move that was. I said I was sorry for laughing and I apologized for using my mental disability as an excuse and offered to treat her to lunch as an apology. Understandably she was reluctant to forgive me, but she did, which I am thankful for. She said she was hurt by my actions, which I understood, but was willing to look past it. I knew posting this story on here would give me the slap in the face that I needed, which I appreciate. And if anyone's wondering, the name is staying. I didn't comment at all on it. Top comments. You've got 3 separate issues/questions here. I am now banned from all family dinners. This seems a big overreaction unless there's more background you haven't shared. Is the name really that bad? Yes it really is. Was I really a massive a-hole? You were rude and inappropriate. You are the a-hole, but that poor kid. You are the a-hole, but you are a correct a-hole, lol. Poor kid. Broccoli? She thinks it's a good idea to name her child Broccoli Willow? I'm sorry, but as a primary school teacher, Brooklyn sounds too close to broccoli not to be made fun of. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother to get out and taking his wife when he asked for some of our mom's ashes? My mom used to live near my brother. She was a quiet person in general and after dad died was lonely. She wanted to have dinner with my brother and his family often. His wife, Kara, didn't like that and they agreed to do it once a month. Mom started to have issue and would send panic texts and went to the doctors randomly. Around this time his wife made a lot of posts about how she was an attention seeker and was making up problems. That she was trying to cause a wedge in their relationship. My brother stopped visiting our mother. It was everywhere and I do not like Kara at all. When this started happening I decided to visit my mom, live in another state. It took me a day to realize something was wrong. Took her to the doctors and she had dementia. I informed the family and became the main caretaker. Kara continued to make posts or comments that she is faking it. My brother stood by her the whole time. I literally begged him to come visit before she passed on. She was cremated and I have the ashes. He didn't even come to the viewing. This is the issue: he and Kara showed up asking for some of our mom's ashes. I told him no, that he didn't even see her before she died. This started an argument against the two. By the end of it I told him to get out and take his wife with him. He has been calling me a jerk and telling me I have to apologize. The family is torn. Some are saying F him and Kara, but other are saying I would give in because it's his mom also. Top comments. Not the a-hole, your brother made his choice and he chose poorly. He deserves nothing. They have the same energy as my younger sister. She was really abusive and awful to my mother most of her adult life, and she continued after my mother got diagnosed with cancer and traveled internationally more than she came to visit. Then she engaged in some performative crap at her funeral. Not the a-hole. At this point, why does he even want her ashes? I feel like his wife wouldn't even want them on display in her home. I think he's realizing just how much of an a-hole he is being viewed by the family and is asking for the ashes to save face and appear like a caring son. If he didn't even come to the viewing/funeral, I really don't understand why he would want the cremains. Not the a-hole. Tell your brother and sister-in-law that your mom faked her death to seek attention. Sorry for your loss. Info: did he come to the funeral and not to a family viewing? Opie replies: no funeral, just a viewing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mother-in-law she can leave my house if she doesn't stop policing how I talk about my stepson? I'm 31F, married to Jake, 33M, who has a son Devin, 10M, with an ex Christy, 34F. Jake and Christy broke up when Devin was a baby. They have shared custody 50-50 since. Christy remarried when Devin was 2. Jake and I met when Devin was 2. I love Devin. Our relationship is good. But I am not his mom. He is not my son. When Jake and I got engaged, he referred to Devin as our kid. Mother-in-law got so annoyed and said I am not his mom and never will be, so Devin is therefore not my kid. I told her that was true, I'm just a bonus in his life and he's going to be my stepson. At that point he wasn't yet my stepson. She told me I should make sure I don't forget my place in his life. Jake told mother-in-law that she had no right to talk to me that way, and it wasn't even me who claimed Devin was my kid, it was him claiming he was ours. Another time after Jake and I were married, I called Devin my stepson. Mother-in-law only heard the son part and told me yet again Devin has a mom and I'm not her. I told her I said stepson. She was like, oh, good, make sure you remember that. Devin and I had some trouble for a while. Christy was encouraging him not to be nice to me like he was to his stepdad. So Devin had a period where he was disrespectful and said we're not stepmom/stepson. We did therapy, it helped. We went back to stepmom and stepson. He did make it clear he didn't want me to call him my son. I respect that. I told him I'd always respect those boundaries for him, but please let me know if anything does change, so I can make any needed changes and keep us strong. Mother-in-law randomly asked sometime after this if I was back to claiming Devin as mine. Jake told her to stop. He told her she knew I wasn't doing that and she needed to let it go. We spent some time away from her, she apologized, mostly because father-in-law wasn't interfering like that and saw his grandson and son still. Jake and I have a son together now. Now mother-in-law has flipped a switch because Jake and I have our own son together. She has decided I'm a monster for calling Devin my stepson still, and she's now policing me staying stepson instead of son. It's not like it comes up that often, but it comes up often enough for her to be bothered by it. If I say I'm here to pick up my stepson instead of son, or say this is my stepson Devin. Jake told her to knock it off and she remembers what happened before with her policing me like this. Mother-in-law dropped by the house to see the baby while my husband was at work. She brought it up to me again. She said now that Devin has a brother we need to stop the step crap and I should be calling both boys my sons. I told her to drop the topic. I did not want this to be a fight again. She ignored me and told me I need to do better. I told her she needs to leave my house if she can't stop policing how I speak, that I would not allow it. She hadn't expected me to follow through. She also didn't expect Jake to be on my side. She said I was rude and refused to discuss it like an adult. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. OMG, not the a-hole, you can't win with this lady. Okay, the new rule is anytime she mentions this again she doesn't see either grandson for 2 weeks. And multiple mentions are consecutive weeks, 3 mentions means 6 weeks total. And as soon as she mentions anything she has to leave immediately. Good luck. Opie replies. My husband said we need another long break, maybe even a permanent one this time. He doesn't think mother-in-law will let it go or will get better about it. Not the a-hole. Mother-in-law is though. I would not have lasted as long as you. Sounds like you are doing everything possible to have a relationship with your stepson. It is too bad other adults can't put aside their pettiness and think of the kids. Opie replies. I wish we could all just get along and have no drama or issues, but it's not always that easy. At no point do I want this to negatively affect the kids. But it has in the case of my stepson and I hate it. I also know mother-in-law might harm her relationship with him if she continues with this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not having a wheelchair-accessible wedding? Throw away for privacy. My 25F fiancé and I, 22F, are getting married in October. My future mother-in-law is a plant freak and their entire property looks like something out of a garden magazine. Cobblestone paths, fountains, statues, shaped bushes and some of the most beautiful plants and trees I've ever seen, including willow and cherry blossom trees. We're getting married in the middle of a meadow towards the center of their property and it's going to be gorgeous. My brother Justin has been dating Sarah for 6 years and they got engaged a few months ago. I'm not close with Sarah because they live across the state and only come down here for holidays and events. Sarah uses a prosthetic leg and apparently lately it's been getting to be too much for her, so she's been using a wheelchair. He texted me asking if the property was wheelchair accessible and I said I didn't know and would let him know what I found out. There aren't any stairs, but the property has different sections with grass, cobblestone, gravel, and dirt, and since I don't use a wheelchair I don't know how well they are at getting around in terrain like that. We went over to my in-laws to go over the ceremony and reception space and see how difficult it might be for Sarah. I texted my brother to let him know about the terrain. He asked if the reception was in the house and I said no, we were having a tent set up. He asked if we were putting that party tent flooring down and I said no. We looked into it but it was out of our budget and everything will look nicer in the grass anyways. He asked if we would have one set up anyways because the grass would be too hard for Sarah to wheel over and I apologized and told him it was out of our budget by thousands. He told me that if we wouldn't do that Sarah couldn't come and we'd be excluding her. I said that it was unfortunate and if that was the case we'd miss her at our wedding. He called me ableist and discriminatory and said that if we wouldn't accommodate her then he wouldn't come to our wedding either. Not even a goddamn hour later I got a text from my mom saying that I was being mean to my brother and Sarah and that it wouldn't be a good look for me if I decided not to do such a simple thing. She told me that I could handle renting one of those tent patios since we didn't pay for a venue and DIY'd a lot of our wedding. I said I was sorry and gave my reasoning again. She told me that if we excluded Sarah they'd pull their contribution to our wedding. I'm not sure how exactly since they paid for our dresses and those were paid for weeks ago. I told her that if her and my brother wanted to foot the but that I'd be more than happy to speak to my mother-in-law about having one put down. She said no. Her and dad are retired and Justin has his own wedding to pay for. I feel bad for excluding Sarah but I'm not sure what else I can do. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add info. Sarah has used a prosthetic since she's been with my brother but this is the first and only time they've mentioned her being in a wheelchair. We sent out save the dates with my mother-in-law's address as the venue about 8 months ago and 2 months ago sent out formal invitations with more information regarding her property, parking, outdoors, length of walk to ceremony etc., and I hadn't heard anything from my brother or Sarah besides a returned RSVP for yes. Edit 2. The quotes we were given for something that we were sure wouldn't harm my mother-in-law's lawn was about $6,000 to $9,000 to rent for the evening. Our budget was $15,000 and we are already at the top end of it. Edit 3. The reason I didn't suggest or look into a different kind of chair or scooter was because I just figured that was something Sarah and Justin would have looked into themselves since they were the ones needing it. I figured since they jumped right to a $9,000 solution at my pocket that the other options wouldn't work for them and they were bringing up the last available option. Also my fiancé's grandma is wheelchair bound as well but has been to my mother-in-law's house plenty of times and it hasn't come up as an issue. And for everyone upset about us getting married in grass and that people will struggle with their heels, I said in my post that in our invitations we had information about my mother-in-law's property. I'm sure people will dress accordingly considering they're aware of the venue. Not sure why people are mad about that. Top comments. I would look into hiring a wheelchair that can do the rough terrain. We had a friend in a wheelchair that we took to the beach many times, and we would rent a special beach wheelchair for that. There are options to solve this, that are also affordable. Not the a-hole, most wheelchairs will be fine in grass and yes gravel sucks but a wheelchair can go through that too. She probably can't wheel herself around, but she sure can be pushed around in grass. She can also use her prosthetic leg and have dedicated chairs around so she doesn't need to stand or walk for long. I have plenty of experiences with wheelchairs and, as it happens, with prosthetic legs. Sarah is being difficult and refuses to compromise. It's a huge shame your mom won't see this. She is being used to bully you to spend thousands on adjustments for Sarah's comfort. It's almost as if Sarah wants you to exclude her and to get herself tons of attention and sympathy at your cost. My mother has a mobility scooter that can handle rough terrain. It's great for these situations. You can hire them in a lot of places. Not the a-hole. As one who pushed his late, wheelchair-bound wife for many hundreds of miles, I think I can present a valid opinion. A normal wheelchair, not a transport chair with all small wheels, can be pushed on grassy surfaces with some effort if, of course, the terrain isn't super muddy and soft. And a gravel path shouldn't be that big a deal either. If we're not talking huge distances on the grass, this shouldn't be more than an inconvenience. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not lending my sister my wedding dress? I recently got married and wore a beautiful wedding dress that my wife custom made for me. It means a lot to me because she puts so much love and effort into it. A few weeks after the wedding, my sister, who is getting married in 6 months, asked if she could borrow my dress. My sister and I have a fairly good relationship, so it wasn't anything personal when I politely said no and suggested we go dress shopping together to find her something nice. My sister was furious and called me selfish. My parents sided with her, saying I should share because we're family. They argued that since she liked the dress so much, I should let her borrow it for one day. They called me a hypocrite for always saying I don't care for inanimate objects but still holding onto the dress like this. Even though they pressured me, I stood my ground. The dress means a lot to me, and I want to keep it safe. Now, everyone is calling me an a-hole, and my sister is barely speaking to me. I feel bad but also think I have the right to say no. So, am I the a-hole for not lending my sister my wedding dress? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your family is overreacting. Good for you for holding your ground. Suggested script. I don't care for inanimate objects, but this was an incredibly loving gift from my wife. It is different. I will not be sharing or lending it, nor will I continue to have conversations about it. If you bring it up again, I will hang up the phone / leave room / go home. And then do so. Good luck. Borrow it for one day doesn't really make sense for a wedding dress because it is only meant to be worn for one day. The key utility of a wedding dress is its emotional connection to one wedding and its unique place in the life of a bride. For a relative to borrow your wedding dress would actually ruin the utility of the dress for you because it would affect your emotional connection to the dress as a part of your wedding and would also affect the unique place of the dress in your family life. In simple words, it's not okay for your sister to decide that she gets to show up in all her wedding pictures wearing your dress. This isn't like borrowing any other dress, and it's totally ridiculous for your parents to act like borrowing your wedding dress is a reasonable request / demand. This just screams my sister is the golden child. How does your wife, the one who made the dress by hand for her future wife, feel about all her love and effort being demanded given to your sister? A handmade wedding dress made by your wife as a gift to you is beyond personal. Every ounce of time your wife put in was for you, not your sister. Your sister is trying to take a precious one-of-a-kind gift and make it hers. Your sister and your parents are a-holes. Not the a-hole. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.